All right, guys. So I was just here doing my thing, and the worst thing about Rings of Power, the first worst thing is that you have to watch it, which is already very bad. And the second thing is, well, it sticks in your mind, and you say, why does something so unimportant, shitty, one of the worst creations in high budget TV. I've seen people calling it the biggest flop in TV history. I think it's right. I think it's fair. I don't know if it's money wise it is. I don't care. Whatever. I'm sure it's making some money somewhere. I don't care. I'm talking from a creative point of view because no matter the budget, what's important is the creative aspect of it and the how it will endure the test of time. Hence the original trilogy, who gladly and very well stands the test of time. You will agree with me, I hope. Because even when I check even when you see the Balrog, it's like we saw the Balrog in episode 5 for like 5 seconds, and he looked worse. It's like, oh, but they were using miniatures and things like that. They were working their asses off, and you have $1 billion, and you think it will create everything magically perfectly, and you don't have to work about it. First mistake. But anyway, um, I was thinking just about the characters, and I was watching a movie not relative to this, and I don't know. I sensed an urge. I sensed, and I see plenty of people who have billion times better channels and better following and everything, and I agree with them. It's like, well, first, Gadriel is one of the worst. What should you say? One of the worst protagonists of our age. Yes, and I don't think it's the actress' fault. In the first two episodes, I liked her very much. Um, of course, she was insufferable, but um, as close, it's like it's bad directing because first, when you think of elves, J.R. Tolkien elves, which are very similar to Dungeons and Dragons elves, because Dungeons and Dragons was mostly, of course, inspired by Tolkien's work, and I'm a D&D guy, so that's my thing. But so I cannot help but compare both, and in in when you create and direct elven characters in big, of course, Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, etc. In Tolkien's world, when you direct them in front of a screen, Peter Jackson nailed it. They were regal, they were royal, they were fairy-like. They were oozing this magical sense of self, this unexplainable charisma and power and majesty and magic. Even they were mystical. They didn't talk like everybody else. They didn't feel like everybody else. They didn't stand. They didn't walk like everybody else. They didn't move like everybody else. When we Best example in the Battle of Helm's Deep, when the archers, the archers, the when the elven soldiers come to the aid of Helm's Deep, and you see how the elves are versus the humans. Like the humans, of course, Aragorn is a Numenorian, he's not a human. But except for Aragorn, like the elven warriors were like complete military perfect. Like they were moving like a quarter. They were acting. They were shooting like robots, like perfect killing machines. Like they were, and as part of all they do, they were perfect in the. They were perfect in, like Legolas says, their armor has um, weaknesses there and there because their eyes can see further than human eyes. And the elven archers are like, oh, thanks for the tip. Bang, bang, bang. We shoot there. And that's all things. Like, take just Legolas. Orlando Bloom is not an actor I really like or follow, but he was perfect for Legolas and he did a perfect job because, of course, he looked the part, but the costume had a lot to do with it. The directing had a lot to do with it. The writing had a lot to do with it. And even the cheapest, I mean, the cheapest line you could say in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy is when they're at the beginning of the Two Towers and they're running after Sam and Frodo, who have been captured by the orcs. And then Legolas said, a red sky, a red sun rises, a red moon or a red sun. So a lot of blood have been spilled. It's like, yeah, I guess it's an elven thing to say. But as, and I say the cheapest, this line was the cheapest of the OG trilogy. It would be one of the greatest in Rings of Power. Because they don't even think like that. They just, the way they talk is like everyone talk with rolling their r so Saran and Numenor, and it's like everybody talks like this. It's fucking annoying. And again, it blends all the races together. Everybody talks the same except the Hobbit and the dwarves because it's so the most common denominator. It's like, oh well, the dwarves are the elves are very like kings and princes and princesses of fairy tales, so they talk very well, and the yeah, they talk very well, and they do use $100 words and blah blah blah, but in the end it's to say nothing. They never say anything of importance. They just chit chat. It's a high quality chit chat words. And that's a problem. So again, Galadriel. She's supposed to be, I don't know how old she is. And that's another thing to criticize about this series. Uh, where the fuck is the timeline? Because of course I'm not a Tolkien scholar. I've read The Silmarillion, I've read Lord of the Rings, but I don't know. I don't remember excuse me. I don't remember every detail of every phrase of every century of every era of every age of every. It's like Jesus fucking Christ. Where the fuck are we? Because it was like another channel on YouTube. I don't want to say names because I'm not affiliated with anybody. But I like their work. But and he won't see this movie, so this video, so it doesn't matter. But he said, yeah, it's like take the time from Galadriel's debut to her going to Valinor in the ship, to her jumping off the ship, to getting on the raft, to getting on the boat, to getting into Numenor, and to being accepted to take 500 soldiers, even if now it's 300 because the boat exploded. What the fuck? And they don't have any more ships to give, so we're just around. Anyway, the time. How much fucking time passed? It's easier to measure time with the human side plot with the dark elf. I call him dark elf because his skin is dark and he's an elf. I don't know what the fuck to call him. Arondir. It's another thing. They never mention character names. Like it's like, hey, Arondir, what the fuck is up, man? It's like they never. I know Durin because I think he's the only character that acts like a dwarf should act, and that he doesn't say a lot of stupid shit, and he's not a fucking joke. He's not a fucking semi-hobbit, stupid psycho shit. So I know Durin. Just say Durin. Not Durin, Numenor, Sauron. What the fuck? It's like, stop treating yourself as gods. You're trying to talk like gods. When I play video games, and you hear a god talk, it looks like that. It's stupid. Anyway, my point was we have no idea what the timeline is. So, but for the humans, it's the only thing that I can say about the timeline is that we're at episode 5 and not a lot of time has passed, because yeah, I said the things with Galadriel, which normally would take months, but it doesn't seem to have been taking a lot of time. Same for the humans. I mean, getting from the first village to the tower to the, I don't know, week or two of enslavement with Arondir, and yeah, so not a lot of time has passed. So, but at the beginning, Galadriel says like, I've been searching for Sauron for centuries. Centuries. Well, let me tell you, sorry Galadriel, but you're not very good at your job. And you're willing to let brothers in arms die in the fucking cold because you want to, because you're so fucking invincible and endurant and fucking relentless in your pursuit, in your brother's pursuit. That's another fault. That's another fault with Gadriel, because Gadriel's only goal is to get Sauron, because her brother died at the hands of Sauron's forces. First, it's not a very good plot, because a lot of people have been, Sauron has killed a lot of people, and I bet she could meet hundreds and thousands of people who've Sauron killed relatives. Said, oh yeah, your brother was killed by Sauron. Well, so was I, and my brother, and my father, and my little brother, and my grandfather, and my. I mean, this you wouldn't see the end of it. It's like, of course, it's like it's your only motivation for centuries because of your brother. Jesus Christ. and you've been a warrior and you've seen battles and wars and everything. It's like if you stop for centuries every time when something you like or you love that dies, you're gonna be here for a fucking while because it's fucking the Second Age. It's fucking Lord of the Rings. There are always wars. There are always. You see the point. So Galadriel's motives are not her arc. I heard that her arc was to because she is too, of course, um, tiresome, uh, very vulgar, if I can say, very insipid, very egomaniac, um, always frustrated and frustrating. She's a fucking bitch. I'm sorry. Sure, it's not the actor's fault. It's the writing. Because if the words were better, she would be a better character. If the plot and the emotions were better, she would emote better. So I can't, of course. It always comes down to not $1 billion. It comes down to 1 billion words. It comes down to the writing. And the writers and direction is dumb. So it's just dumb. And yeah, so of course, yeah, so start with this, then Arondir, who has no purpose, again, no arc. We don't know anything about him. His lady friend, who he must have had the child with her because the child is of semi color. So where the fuck else would her lover be but him? And it's fine. It's perfectly fine. But just maybe that should have come up. It's like we see it. It's obvious. Can we just see it? Can we just say it and be done with it? Please? No? Okay. And oh, the thing with the sword of Sauron that is your blood and that reforged and smoke and the magic shit. What have they done with it after 5.5 hours? Nothing. So I was just yeah, it's not an important video. It's just I had these things on my mind and I needed it to lash out because this fucking show pisses me the fuck off because it could have been so great. And you choose the worst writers, the worst directors, the worst uh, storylines, the worst characters, the worst. Everything is bad. Everything. It is fucking nuts. And I'm like, okay, then. And I was so glad that they said they were going to Numenor. I was like, when I was reading the Silmarillion, I was dreaming of Numenor. I said I would like to see it so much. It's like Numenor. It's supposed to be these higher, they're the elves of humankind, if you want to say it like that, because they're supposed to be taller, stronger, they live longer, they're they're better fighters, they're better warriors, they're better humans, they're better. It's like they're elevated. They have a higher pride, a higher uh, race line, not race line, but race. They're just like physiologically better. I'm not saying it's a race thing. I'm not saying they're better than humans, but they're better like in a video game statistics like they're higher than humans. They're just like elves are live longer. Well, Numenorians live longer than humans, like Aragorn is a Numenorian. And you can see that Aragorn is not your average man fighter soldier. Aragorn is fucking epic. So there we go. Numenorians are epic humans. And I was like, oh, I had to see the architecture and the city and the ships that they have, the all their weapons and their tactics and their how they talk to each other, how they relate, the high hierarchy, the king and the king and the queen and the kings and the queens and the princess and the lords and the high soldiers and the high military and everything that I was like, I was I was fascinated. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm gonna see that. But of course, I didn't get to see it because Gondor in the OG of the Rings, Minas Tirith could beat the shit out of Numenor. Their warriors were better suited. I mean, they were led by a fucking moron, crazy guy, but the soldiers were braver. They had a better soul, they had a better mind, they had a better bravery, courage, skill, everything. So just take Boromir and his brother. So it's like Numenorians are supposed to be above that. And that's all in the creative department, the costume, the writing, the directing. It's like you're supposed, before every scene, someone should have shouted, "You are fucking Numenorians. You are the shit. Act like it." But they didn't. So, um, and of course, that's with the, I don't know the history with the sick king and the Muriel, the regent king, the regent queen. I heard she's a real character. Cool. I don't have any problem with Numenorian being ruled by a woman, by a queen. Guess it's badass, but make her badass. It's like, it's fucking Numenor. That's where the shit stopped. That that's the best of the best that you can have. And the only character worthy of any kind words in this fucking series is Elendil. And he's barely there, and he barely does anything. His son Isildur sucks. His warriors sucks. His battleship, battle boats, battle vessels. You have three to give to go fight a war. Three. What the fuck? So it's just, and it's Elendil. Elendil. It's not your common. They're treating him like he's the common warrior that's like, yeah, I'm gonna do my job, whatever. He looks fucking bored. It's like he should be fucking epic, like gathering armies and saying tactics and checking maps and like it is. And we talk about sword skills because I'm a martial arts guy, and of course we saw one of the worst sword fights in. I mean, take Lord of the Rings, take this. Point made. I mean, the sword fights in Lord of the Rings were fucking epic. They were customized each person, and they were, I mean, Aragorn. Each fight of Aragorn, I mean, when he kills the leader of the Uruk-hais in Amon N at the end of the Fellowship. Fucking badass fight. Badass fight. And you take this, and it was brutal, and it was quick, and it was bloody, and like knives and punches and fucking sword, bang, 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 and real good mastery of sword skill. And like, because Aragorn is 84 years old and he's been training for 80 years and he's seen lots of battle, so that shows. And you tell me that Numenorian soldiers, that's the best, like 6 Numenorian soldiers cannot defeat one elf? I don't care if it's Galadriel, I don't care if it's the main character. It's like, oh yeah, it's an elf, so she's flying him and she's doing circles and turn-ups and backflips and whatever, and it's like, it's fucking dumb. It's just fucking dumb. So yeah, I just a random video. I had to say my thoughts about it because we're past halfway to the first season and nothing has happened yet. So I can't imagine what. I mean, we're supposed to be had to have a battle in the next episode, as I don't know if it's true. I've heard that. I hope so. I hope we can see some fucking action because nothing ever happens in this fucking show. So let's hope for a battle. Let's hope for Galadriel to have an arc that leads her to being Galadriel. That's all you have to do. Be true to the character. I don't trust you. I know you won't do it. I don't know why, but it seems that way. So, thanks for listening. Just some thoughts. And got this show. Take care, guys.